Our next item is Measure A, and I know y'all want to know about that. Now, Virginia, I asked you how much time you needed, and you gave me a number. Our meeting seems to be going a little bit longer tonight. Do you have a new number?
Sure. But how long do you want that?
How much time, because I want to open it for questions and answers afterwards.
What's the presentation, just 10 minutes?
10
Is
minutes.
that okay, and 5 for your questions?
Okay, so we'll do, and I'm trying to think, because we really want to have time for Pat. Think you could get it down, because I know you're so succinct. Can you get it down to 8?
Sure.
Because then we can give Jason Hunter 8, so we make it equal. And then we can open up for some questions and answers. Now, Virginia brought, if these men, their positions were weighted, our room would be listing like a boat. She brought some heavy-duty, influential people with the school district tonight to make certain that if you had a question she couldn't answer, they're going to be available. So you all know Virginia Blumenthal. She's been at our meeting many times. She's criminal defense attorney in town with so many accolades, I'm not going to mention them. But she's also on the RCCD board as a trustee. And so Virginia, come on up, and you're going to tell us about Measure A.
I am.
And is there anything you need passed out?
No, everything has been passed out. You'll have it in front of you, called State of the I don't think I need a mic.
Oh, let
Can
me
you hear
ask.
me in the back?
Can everyone in the back hear Virginia?
No? Okay, I'll try the mic. I'm not used to the mic. I've been in jury trial all day, but we don't use mics there. Yes, I want to introduce some guests that I have with me. They're also available to answer any questions that you may have. These are the most knowledgeable people that I could bring. They also came here out of respect for your organization. I explained it to them, and the information that this group tries to get. Helping me present tonight is Dr. Waldorf Isak. He is the Chancellor of the Riverside Community College District. As you are aware, yes, please. As you are aware, our district has 3 fully accredited colleges: Norco College, Riverside City College, and Moreno Valley College. We are the 5th largest district in the state of California, community college district in the state of California, serving over 62,000 individuals. It's amazing. I'm an RCC grad, and I brag about it. I laugh. No one knows where I got my bachelor's, master's, or law degree, but everybody knows I went to RCC. And I like it that way. Also with us today, and I'm going to ask them to stand, is Dr. Gregory Anderson, who is the president of Riverside City College. We have Dr. Carol Farrar, who is the vice president of instruction of Riverside City College. Aaron Brown, who is our RCCD vice chancellor of business. Rebecca Goldware, who is the vice chancellor of institutional advancement. And Dr. Monica Green, who is the interim president of Norco College. I cannot imagine a question you could ask that they would not know the answers to. I can't bring you a heavier duty staff than these individuals. I forgot to start my timer. Does that count 3?
And then Virginia, just a heads up, when you see the yellow, that means you still have 2 minutes left. Linda Baker,
There you go. Okay, thank you. I brought my own timer so I could do it.
You're good.
What we wanted to do is tell you a little bit about the district. We have had amazing goals in spite of the great recession that happened and coming back from it. Our goals have basically been to work with the K through 12 districts. I don't want to knock them, but their transfer rate to us, in other words, the K through 12 is going to the city college or going to any college, was really quite low. Dr. Waldorf Isak has worked personally with all of the school districts, and we have 6 in our district. In Riverside Community College District, we have 6 K through 12 school districts there. We are working with every single one to increase the college-going rate of our high schools. We are working now to have our high school students be able to go to the community college as closest to them and their high school at the same time. We started some of this with the John F. Kennedy High School that is currently on the campus of Norco College. They won't have their own high school, but they will be attending the various colleges. When I was helping to hand out diplomas at Norco College, when I was giving out the AA and AS degrees, it was so nice to be able to hand a student, a high school student, their AA degree, and the next day they were getting their high school diploma. Or they were transferring into other colleges as sophomores and juniors. It's really terrific and has been a real goal. I'm in my 14th year of serving on the board. We give you a lot of information on this, and we really want to talk about some of the bond issues. Each of our colleges has a specific facilities master plan. The bond that is going on will be on the March 3rd ballot is for $715 million. It'll be on the March 3rd ballot. Each of our colleges has a facilities master plan where they have the buildings that they want. I'm very familiar that they want to have built, or major repair work done, or upgrading done. When Measure C, which was for $350 million, was first passed, I was the first chair of the Citizens Oversight Committee to see how the funds of Measure C were being spent. And I can tell you, even now being on the board, but even then at that time, which is actually how I first met Aaron Brown, because he was the business consultant that was assigned to that Measure C committee, the Oversight Committee. I can tell you now, when we've gone through the evaluation, that we have over $1 billion worth of buildings from our $350 million bond that was passed, because we leverage it. I can talk about, for example, some of the philosophies of partnership. If you take a look at the Aquatic Center, that was a partnership between the City of Riverside, the County of Riverside, Riverside City College, and private institutions, including a kids diving team that raised $10,000 to contribute to the building of the Aquatic Center. Now, when you bring in international synchronized swimming, that brings in every time that they have competitions here. The hotels are filled downtown, the restaurants are busy because they all bring in family. For every dollar that we can spend here, it brings approximately $2.40 to the city. So that's why we want to talk about this. We do not have specific facilities that we are talking about with the bond. We have talked about specifically some of the ideas that we had. If you take a look at how that $350 was spent, and you take a look, for example, I'm going to talk about RCC for a minute. When you talk about the nursing building, the math and science building, when you look downtown and you see the Coyle School for the Arts, if you see our student services building at Riverside City College, if you see our, we did completely re-like gymnasium. The problem is when you go into some of these places or some of the buildings, what we needed 20 years ago in electrical is not what we need now. You can't necessarily see that far ahead on some of these things because, I have a rough, very similar in technology, thank you, John. You have to upgrade so many of those things because it didn't have the basic electricity, but we had to renovate the quad that was built in 1916, I think it was. Well, it doesn't have the basic electrical in there. So you have to redo all of that. And the electrical that we require now is so much more than the electrical that we required even 20 years ago. So if we are not, from this bond, if we're not going to build the building, say, for 10 years, we can't promise you what the electrical is going to be required at that point in time. We can assure you that if you take a look at some of the facilities master plan, that we do have some very good ideas, and I'd like Dr. Waldorf Isak to address a couple of these.
Thank you, Virginia. I just would like to summarize. The philosophy that defines us is that we are a community college responsive to community needs. Everything that we have done so far has been to find ways for needs. We are very conscious that we serve educationally and economically challenged students and families. So we've made education accessible and affordable. We've grown from Measure C by 35%, from 40,000 to 60,000 students. And with the new bond, we want to extend access to over 90,000 students in the next 15 years. And we have not gone to the communities with a shopping list. We've gone to the community with a well-articulated vision of how we would like to be catalyst of social change, to create economic and social mobility for the students. So we have very detailed projects. The specificity with which people would like us to enumerate these projects are sometimes a handicap in terms of the flexibility that we need to continuously respond to community needs with changing times. Our strategic plan, like any strategic plan, is long range. And in that long range, it's always very difficult to see the future as clearly as in the present, because we live in a rapidly changing economic situation. So that's why I would like you to understand what we are doing is we have very clear strategic vision. We know exactly where we are going to take the district. We know what kind of areas and facilities that we are going to do. And I also want the community to know that we are the largest workforce training organization in the county. We have the best nursing program, not only the best, but the largest nursing program in Southern California. We have the largest public safety institution in Ben Clark. We have huge amount of training of access for our students so that they can earn livable wages. So
We're not talking minimum wage, we're talking when you graduate Ben Clark Training Center trained as a law enforcement officer, you don't get hired for minimum wage, you get a decent salary.
So, and I'd like us to be able to see, we've been in this community for over 100 years, 104 years. There's nobody whose life has not been impacted by RCC. It may be the grandchildren, it might be the spouse, it might be the grandparent. We've had a track record of continuously responding to community needs. So I'd like us to be very clear that we're not going with a big agenda trying to use monies in any way that we want. We're trying to find a way of adequately and flexibly responding to the community needs that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys did a fabulous job with time. The only concern we have is our next speaker has to leave. That's why I had to rush you a little bit, but then we'll have time for questions after Jason presents. So again, Jason Hunter's also been at our many times, so you know him. I think you like him. I can tell you do. Jason?
Hello, West End. This is my favorite meeting to go to. I love you guys out here. Love our. So, there's a saying. What are the most dangerous words ever spoken? It's hello. I'm here with the government, and I'm here to help. Trust me, right? So just try to keep that in mind. And I'm not using this to knock the folks who are here tonight. I'm not. It's just a joke. I have the utmost respect for the leadership over at RCC, and I serve on the RCC Measure C Oversight Committee currently. So I came here to talk tonight about why I'm going to vote no on this bond, and why I think you should vote no on it as well. Let's say somebody came to you for a loan. Let's say it was a friend or family member, and they said, you know, for a significant amount of money, because we're talking about big money here, $715 million is the ask from this community. After you put in debt costs, you're talking about $1.4 billion. That's going to be paid through your property taxes. And so, if I came to you for a loan, I said, you know what? What do you say you give me $50,000, $100,000, something that's substantial to you? What's the first question you would ask?
What are you going to do with it?
Well, what are you going to do with it, right? Why should I, if I just kind of said to you, well, just trust me, I'll use it for something good. Trust me, I'll pay you back. I don't know if that would work, quite frankly. And so, I am an unabashed supporter of RCCP. I think that it serves such an important role here in this community, not just in Riverside, but expanding to other agencies, or areas outside of Riverside now, in Norco and Moreno Valley, and educating. Not everyone's going to go to four-year university, but if they can, boy, it is nice if they can go for 2 years, fairly cheaper, right? So when the district talks about Measure A, and they talk about all these nice master facilities plans, which I'm sure hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent making these master facilities plans, and thousands of hours of staff time and community time discussing what they would actually like to put in these plans. Do you know how much of this is actually guaranteed as currently as the bond, the ballot proposition is written? How much of this is actually guaranteed that's going to get built? I mean, nor really anything that's currently in the ballot proposition. There's lots of nice things and platitudes about the things that we want to get built. But how much of those specific items, how much is going to actually guarantee to you for your $750 million? How much is guaranteed to get built? Do you know?
Zero.
The answer is zero. Nothing. The way this ballot measure is currently written, it is a blank check from you, the community, to the governing board of RCCD. And I'm not saying there's any reason to not trust the governing board, but the governing board may only be here for 2 years, or 4 years, or 6 years. And same thing with the administration. And the bond proceeds, and I'm on Measure A, started in 2004. We're still spending money here in 2019. And you'll be paying off Measure A to 2034. So, excuse me, 2034. And Measure A you'll be paying off probably 2052. Think about that for a second. And so, that's why the state came up with the voters of this state passed a proposition in, I think around 2000, that required that in order to lower, there's always been a way to get school bonds passed, and you had to pass it by convincing 66% of the voters to basically give the district money for facilities, and they could build whatever facility they wanted to. And they could still do that and get 66% of the vote. But instead, RCCD is elected to go what we call the Prop 39 route, which lowers that requirement from 66% down to 55%. And in return for this, and this was agreed upon with the voters, with you, we the people here in this room, 3 things would be enacted to protect the voters if they elected that route. Number 1 was that there'd be a citizens oversight committee, which I'm sure they'll have. Number 2 is that they'll have independent yearly financial and performance audits, which I'm sure the district will have. But the third thing, okay, this is what's missing from this ballot proposition, is a specific project list that tells you, the voters, what's actually going to be built. And what I see here with this ballot proposition are clever lawyers trying to end run that requirement by basically saying, our specific project list is you can build everything you want under the sun. And that's the antithesis of the word specific. And it defeats the spirit of the constitutional amendment proposed back in 2000 called Prop 39. And for that reason alone, I would encourage you to go out and talk to all of your neighbors to vote against this measure and encourage the district. The district has needs, and I think we all want to see the district's needs be met. Okay? The district needs to come, hopefully this proposition fails in my opinion, the district will have to come back to the table and actually write up a specific project list. And I understand the argument that we don't know what all the needs are going to be for the next 20 years. So here's what I say. What are your needs that you know? Build those projects. And come back in 10 years and go for another bond. You don't need to get the whole $750 million enchilada in one fell swoop. Issue bonds perhaps more frequently for smaller amounts so you can give us some sort of comfort as to what's actually going to be built with this money that you spent so much money creating these plans for, right? Our experience in this town, and I've been here before and I've spoken on these topics, with Measure Z, remember the sales tax, 1%, 1 penny sales tax by the city of Riverside, and Measure O, which was another school bond passed by the K through 12 level, has not been positive, if you've heard me speak before. It was, tell us one thing and build another, come to find out. And so I'm not saying, once again, I'm not looking to damage or impede upon the credibility of the speakers here tonight. That's not the point. The point is, we're supposed to get a specific project list. Provide it. Or we're not voting for your measure, because I don't think that we as citizens should be writing blank checks. Not when that kind of money's involved, and you'll be paying it on your property taxes for the next 30 years. That's it.
minutes while they ask questions?
I have
Okay,
a
I'm certain, okay, Wayne.
Say this bond passes, say this bond passes and you get the $750 million, okay? 5 years, 10 years, you go, uh-oh, we forgot to put this on with the 750,000. Now we need another 500 million. What stops you people from asking more in 5 or 10 more years? Because you made a mistake.
I think if you take a look at our track record, I go to the bank, I have a business. I'm a criminal defense attorney, have been one for 44 years, have my own practice. I have lines of credit at the bank. I have a certain amount of credibility with them because I've been successful in running this business. If I fill out an application for something, they don't check that I use it. When we had Measure C, we had almost exactly the same type of thing, but we did not promise certain projects. Had we done that, when the Aquatic Center came up, which we did not know about when Measure C was passed, we would have never been able to invest in that. We would have never had the Aquatic Center. And do you know how much money downtown would be losing out on right now? Because there was no time to put it together, to form the partnership, to get it on the ballot, spend the money that it costs to go on the ballot. And I think that the credibility of your institution is significant. For example, we have taken a lot of that money that we did not know when Measure C was passed in 2006, I believe it was. 2004, that's right, 2004, that we would be having the need for veteran centers that we have now. That would have never been included. We have built a veteran center at every single one of our institutions. There's a fully staffed one and fully built one at Reno Valley College, at Riverside City College, and at Norfolk College. Yet in 2004, that was not on the top of the priority list. If we would never have been able to build this type of thing if you can't see that far ahead. And so many things change, especially in the education field. The people who are in need field. For example, we are now working with trying to provide housing for our homeless foster students that aged out in the foster system. Well, I can't tell you who's going to need that in 15 years from now. The same as I couldn't tell you about the veterans, I couldn't tell you about the foster kids, things along that line.
It's even now, for the foster kids, that's a big thing.
That's huge.
And we have a project for that. But let me just say quickly, how much, the question, I will reverse it. How much of what was in the project list, in our plans of Measure C, have been accomplished? You go and edit that, and Jason is a member of that oversight committee.
Right.
You can see that we have fulfilled our promise and more. So what we are promising is not intended to take away, in terms of our own economic impact today is close to $1 billion. It's in 1 year, it's close to supporting 13,000 jobs. So there is a huge commitment that we have. We have 63,000 students, which means they are larger than all the 3 universities in Riverside combined. That's how many students that we have made education accessible and affordable for. So I think it's very unfair to say, because we don't have exact number of projects to do this, it's going to be questionable. We have a track record of fulfilling everything we have promised.
John, I saw you had a question.
Well, I'd like to respond to that really quick, because the response is, trust us. And I would say that be careful that, past performance is not always indicative of future performance. And so there may be people who are very happy that a swimming pool and administration building and a performing art center got built with extra money from Measure C, but there may be a lot of people who aren't, maybe thought there were better uses for that money. Just keep that. Now, once again, there's a way around this. I think we need to rethink some of these major bond issues here in the city. We have a lot of debt here in the city, if you're not aware of it. And so the way around it is very simple. Instead of asking for the whole enchilada at once and saying we can't plan for every contingency in the future, ask for less money, right? For what you absolutely know you need. Come back in 7 or 8 years, because you will not totally blown through your debt capacity, right? You'll have bonding capacity still left because you haven't asked for it all in one measure, and ask the public again. And if you've built what you said you were going to build, and you've built that trust up, and you're going more frequently to the voters, my guess is Californians have been very gracious and very forgiving with their elected officials as far as granting these measures in the past, from my understanding, at least in the time that I've been here. So there's another way to do it, and I granted there's a little bit more administrative work, probably a lot more administrative work that goes along with that, but I think when you're talking about these incredible, vast sums of money, shouldn't we be expecting a little bit more work in order to get it? Thank you.
John?
Yeah, just to address what the Chancellor said there a minute ago about the fairness. You use the word fair. You don't think it's fair that you should have to tell us what you want to spend the money on. The other side of the coin for the residents and the people that have to foot the bill for this is, we think it is fair that you let us know what you're spending the money on. Again, I'm not bashing the college district. I'm all for it. It's a great resource, and for a while, and I don't know if you do it anymore, we had kids that were automatically guaranteed to be able to finish up their degrees in a certain amount of time from the city if they graduated from the school district here in the city. And that's all great, but that's a lot of money to be asking us for without telling us what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use the word fair, from our standpoint, I don't think it's fair that you not tell us. It just doesn't seem right to ask for a ton of money and it's like, well, we're going to do good things with it, and I don't doubt that you are, but the opposite side of that coin is it fair not to tell us what you're going to use the money for? We've experienced in this city, like you mentioned, Measure Z, and there's other things that have happened that, and I get it's not you, but it's government in general. It's like, wait a minute, you guys, stuff happens, and the other point I have is, what if we don't agree to some of the projects, and now you have the money, we can't vote on it again, you're going to use it to do what you want to do, excuse me, what you want to do, and now we have no say in whether we like that project or not. So I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Jason is. Let's go along a little bit at a time, vote on what you guys need, and if we don't like that project, then we don't vote for it. And if we do like it, boom, we give you the money and you can do it.
I'm going to switch spots with John. Johnson's going to come very
Question?
I have a question. What percent of the RCC budget is spent on administrative costs versus in the classroom instructional costs?
And did everyone in the back of the room hear that question?
I'll repeat it.
That's a fucking excellent question.
What percent of the
That's an
RCC
excellent
budget is spent on administrative? In other words, not on instructing students. What is the percent of the college district's budget?
Would it
on
be
those
more
costs?
fair to call it student services, and that takes all services, not just in the classroom, William?
Yeah, basically non-instructional, any other non-instructional costs.
So, 54%.
This is Aaron Brown, HR answer.
The direct instructional costs in the classroom.
Yeah.
You're talking about the instructor's costs, their salaries and benefits, it's about over 54%. The rest are support services. To be able to get students into the classroom.
46% is administrative.
So on.
Holy shit.
Now, I couldn't hear that even up front. Did you say 54?
Did you say only
No,
54?
Just a second, William. Did you say 54% is for administrative services?
No, that's for
54 is for student services?
for
Instructional.
In the classroom, your
Strictly
professors
in the classroom.
and their
And then, do you have any idea what it would be for total student services?
That I don't have.
Okay.
Well, it's a large portion. Let me say, put it in perspective. The state funds institutions per full-time equivalent student. For every one equivalent student, full-time equivalent student, the community college gets 8,000. The K-12 makes 12,000. The Cal State makes 17,700. The UCs make 32,000. So just to be equal to the K-12, we would have to grow by 50%. So I just want to put things in perspective that, yes, it takes faculty and teachers that amount of money, but we have a very low base to do that. We are probably one of the most efficient in terms of providing the kind of service we provide with the kind of budget that is spent.
Well, what that surprises me, that
So we
talking
go on
garbage
to the
shit.
whole
Sorry.
question, 'cause
Yeah.
I think we got the,
that
I believe we got the answer to the
surprises
percentages.
so.
Aurora, you have
in
a
the
question.
class.
Yes.
And I'm gonna give you this because you have a little voice.
Thank you. It's not about city council, that is a whole different thing. Right? Hi. I want to say that we could sit here all night long throwing mud at each of the sites, okay? the main fact is what we've been going through here in Riverside in total. It's we know we're in a deficit financial situation right now. We all know that. Okay, the council knows that. They're having to deal with that. We ourselves are dealing financially very much so too. Okay, so that's what I say. The timing itself is wrong because the use of measures like Measure Z, we've been watching it. We've been keeping an eye on it. That's why they haven't tried to do it so much because we've been keeping an eye on it. Okay. Look what happened with this. It was a Corona Norco about the misappropriation of funds. All this stuff gets hit in the public eye of things that we trusted our people to, who we've elected to keep track of our funds. So then, asking for such a high amount of money, knowing we're in a deficit situation here, we're not going to be willing to do that. I don't think so. And it's not that we don't like the measure or what we don't like one way or another. It's just that we can't afford it right now. And that's what I wanted to bring out, that the measure might be good and everything, but right now that sum of money is way out of our league. Sorry.
Thank you for the commentary. There wasn't a question, but I think commentary is also important. So if anyone has a comment or a question, please raise your hand. And now, Wayne, you can let me come back to you. No, only because I'd like to get someone who hasn't yet, and then I'm going to come back to you. Is that okay? Anita?
Yes, Jason.
You have a little voice also.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jason, I have a question for you. I know we're paying about pretty close to $600 a year extra on property taxes for the RCC community colleges. How much more are we going to be paying if this gets approved?
I think that number's a little bit high. In fact, I think it's a lot higher.
I think I saw it on my property tax. It's funny about that.
If you own $1 million house, you might be paying.
Okay, well, I'm paying some good money though.
Thank you, Anita.
Remember, there's all sorts of assessments on your property taxes, right? And so there's RUSD assessments on your property tax. There's going to be a Measure C assessment continuing on your property taxes for many years in the future. And what we're talking about is adding a new assessment for Measure A. Probably, I think I saw the average assessment for the average house in the district area, around $66 a year. Does that sound right? Give me a nod, somebody over there.
It's 50 for the median.
50 medium? I saw 66 somewhere. I don't know.
And that's for years.
I computed mine was about $40 a year.
It's $50 a year.
So $50 a year. That sounds more reasonable.
Yeah.
What's a median?
Okay, now Wayne, I promised I'd come back to you.
270.
It's fine that you need this money. And if I had the money, I would write you the check for it, except for me personally. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. I live on a fixed income. I'm a homeowner. I get a break on my property tax and a few other things. But every time that the city or the county or the state levies some kind of tax on me, that means that my fixed income gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So in order for me to vote yes on your proposition, I'm going to need to know exactly what you spend the money on.
Thank you, Wayne. Did you, any comment on that?
So, we have a detailed project list that emanates from the facilities master plan that were worked out after the educational master plan. So there are very clear visions. So the total number of projects in this master list is for a little over $2 billion. Now, we believe because of the way we have frugal handled money, we are able to leverage state funds to match with our local funds. And so for our 715, we believe that we are confident we'll be able to attract another $400 million from the state. Even during the economic downturn, we were able to leverage for the 350 Measure C money, 158 million from the state. So what we are discussing right now is that we pinpoint exactly these number of projects in order of 1, 2, 3 priority. Our projects are classified in 4 phases. And sometimes, depending on what we are able to leverage, some projects might come faster than others. We just recently got a project approved, and we are contributing 6.8 million. The state is contributing the remaining of 35 million. So 81% is contributed by the state, and only 19% is contributed by us. Now, that depends on the age of the building, on the safety requirements, on there are a number of considerations to be made. So some of these projects will be bounced up and down in that priority only because of that, and we don't want to lock ourselves in, but everything that we do is not going to be outside the strategic plans that we have placed. So we're not asking for a blank check. That, I think, is an unfair presentation.
Is it, then I say if we've got a project list right there, why don't we slap that to the ballot proposition, and that will be our project list. We'll know the list of 2 billion, and within that 2 billion, we can spend our $715 million. We'll know what we're kind of going to get for the most part. And I've actually proposed that to the district. But instead what we do have is that none of these projects, and none of them, zero, everything that you've read in the propaganda, everything in that ballot measure, none of it is guaranteed, 0% to build anything, for the most part, that any school district can legally build under the sun. I said that the part that really bugs me is that it violates the spirit of Prop 39. It's violative of the spirit of what voters passed in 2000 in order to allow school districts to lower the threshold to 55%. And that should concern people. And I think it's up for us to send a message that we're tired of this, and you need to comply with not just the letter, but the spirit of the law, and give us a specific project list.
I saw a question, Judy.
Okay, Alvord Unified School District already has 2 bonds on our property taxes. They're bonded out. They can't even ask us for any more money, and yet they're hurting for money now with the budget. So what's to say you do this $750 million, and then you come back, say 10 years down the road and say, I need another $75 million, so you're gonna have this one on top of this one. And it's happened in Alvord.
And I have a question to piggyback. You're currently paying off another bond right now, correct?
Correct.
And what's the expiration on that one?
They're doing it again.
That one goes on for another.
Till 39, 40.
29 to 40 years.
No, we have 20 years left.
20 years left on that.
So the years.
Okay, so the existing bond has about 20 years left on it? Okay. Is there another question? Or Judy, did you feel what the question you asked was answered?
I just wanted to say that's my point. They did that in 2000 or 2004. Now they want another one. So now it's going to be that one on it plus this one on it. That was my point. Alvord killed us with these bonds.
And Alvord did.
Yes.
RCCD is different than Alvord, is different than others. So what you have to do is listen to what you're hearing tonight and decide where your comfort level is. Did I see a question here?
Really a comment, again back to the, as Jason specified, the spirit of Prop 39. There's only 3 things listed there. Transparency is the biggest thing I think we all feel, and I know a lot of us in this area of Riverside have felt things have not been transparent for a long time, a lot of things. I know so many people who don't even vote because they say, why? They're gonna do what they want, and that's so sad. I mean, I'm heartbroken when that happens. So I stress to my children, you need to vote. It's your right, blah, 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 you know, what have you. And again, transparency. That's the biggest thing, and so let's get that list. I mean, I love RCC. Both my kids went there, I went there, love it. Let's see a list.
We have time for one more question. So, up, I see one in the corner, man in blue shirt.
Just a question. So outside of the last bond we heard about, what's kind of your yearly facilities budget for doing some of these upgrades outside of a bond and borrowing money ahead of time?
That's our only source of money for capital projects of that site. We do repair and maintenance, but if we don't have state funding and we don't have a bond issue, then we really don't have any money to do any kind of capital
The
building
state
projects.
does not give us money to build new facilities. In other words, we do our own maintenance. We do not, these bonds that we have, unlike some of the other school districts stuff, does not go into our general fund. It does not for day in and day out kind of running of the system at all. That's not what this is used for. It's strictly used for, there's, if we wanted to renovate as we did, Wheelock Gymnasium, because we issues of asbestos and so on and so forth. That's all that this money is allowed to be used for. State does not give us money to build buildings. The community colleges is what I'm saying. They do with some of the high schools, but they do not for the community colleges.
Okay, in closing, Jason, we haven't heard from you in a bit. Do you have anything to say? Okay, and Mr. Important President, man, someone in a dark suit. I'm so sorry.
The important people are right in front of me. I'm a servant. And I just would like once again to appeal that what we do, and I don't want it on technicalities to hurt the children of this county. This is the largest supplier and access to higher education in Riverside County. I've said already, we have 63,000 students. Through this bond, we will expand to over 90,000, and we make education affordable for every family. Now, it sounds like a lot of money. This is 2 cents for every $100. $50 a year for an average income house. Just imagine what would it cost to send your kids to college.
Ooh,
They already paid it.
$40,000.
And you know exactly what that means. Yeah. So out of the 63,000, 2/3 of those students pay zero. Okay? And then we are additionally, we have created a college promise to make the cost as low as possible for every child who wants to go to college. We've opened pathways for high school students to have access to college credits so that they don't need to languish in college for many years. So they can finish 1 year of college education while they are still in high school. By the time they come to us, they'll be able to stay 1 year and transfer. Our whole philosophy is to remove remediation and shorten time for graduation so people can get out of poverty irreversibly in a short time. So I'm appealing to you that if we vote, if we don't support it, it's not really the district, it's not the administration, it's not the employees. We're talking about an investment in the future of our kids. And no family has anything more precious than their own kids. That's the most precious thing that we have. More than property, more than anything. And therefore, please believe that you are investing in our children.
That investment is only guaranteed if you get a specific project, which is what we need. Bring it back in November. That's my closing argument. I gotta get going.
Okay, I want to thank our speakers.